Business Advisor, and I'm glad that you've joined me. It's a beautiful Friday, TGIF Friday afternoon. However, we don't have much to be happy about what's happening in Washington, D.C. We have a president who keeps pumping in money into Ukraine. We have a U.S. Senate who keeps pumping money into Ukraine. We have a Congress that keeps pumping money into Ukraine. All that money is American money, taxpayer money, hard-working Americans who have taken on 2 and 3 jobs in this inflationary time just to be able to survive. And here you are sending it to Ukraine. This is not our war. This country isn't even on our border. We do not have a beef with Putin. Only you in government have that beef. You have this desire to take down Putin, but it's not going to work. What you should be doing is saying, Ukraine, Russia, let's sit down for peace talks. Let's resolve the issues. But instead, you pump money into Ukraine, wasting it on the corrupt nation. You have depleted the assets of the United States military. And Americans are sitting here thinking, look at the homeless on our streets. Look at the mental health issues that we see wandering around on our streets. We see people losing their homes because inflation is so high. We see individuals who are trying to work 2 and 3 jobs, who are in debt with their credit cards so high. Businesses who are beginning to fail because your priorities are not on the American people. It's on Ukraine, who I'm assuming that you in government think that Ukraine is the 51st state of the Union, which is a stupid thing. Is your love for Ukraine, or is it for America? Is it for the American people, the American families, the American schools, American roads, American infrastructure, American churches, Americans as a whole? Is your priority America, or is it this war that you want to continue to promote and endorse with Russia? That's the question that you have to ask, because as an American, we don't have that war. That's not our responsibility that happens in Ukraine. Our responsibility is what's happening in our communities, what's happening on the streets of Chicago as people die every single day because law enforcement isn't strong enough to take control of the streets. New York, who is piled with immigrants, illegal aliens, who are not supposed to be in America, but you have let them in. You had 10,000 illegal aliens across the border yesterday. We never hear the president even talk about this issue. Vice President Harris was supposed to be the czar of the border, which is a laughable matter now because she hasn't done anything. And by the way, Biden has now made her in charge of guns, or the gun issue. Expect nothing to get done because she did nothing with the border. You see, either you put Americans first, or you should not be in office. You members of the Senate who are putting Ukraine first above the Americans' needs should not be in office. Those of you who are promoting this war and trying to take out Putin, it's worthless. Either you focus on the needs of our country, the borders of our country, the people and families of this country. If you don't focus on that, you should not be in office at all. I remember some time ago, there was a great statesman, and he says, we have to be very careful what happens in Europe. We should not get mingled up in other nations' fights. And he's right. We should not be involved with Ukraine. You see, those countries of the European Union, they're the ones at threat, not America. We have our own problems here in this country that we need to get resolved very quickly. Not one single thing has been done to address all of the issues that are hitting on American lives at this moment. We have high gas prices, and people are not able to get to work because the prices are so high. Inflation is rising, especially at the supermarkets, and people are having to make very careful choices what they are buying now because they just can't afford it. This isn't what America is supposed to be. America was supposed to be a leader of all nations. And now we look like a failure. Either you put your politics to the side and begin working with each other, or you're truly telling Americans, we don't care about you. What we care about is our own pockets, our own power. The American people just get us here. And then we forget about it. And that's what you have done. You have forgotten about the American people because you have a political agenda that is more important than the lives of every single individual that lives in this great nation. We're holding you responsible. We're watching you very carefully. If you don't think that Americans are watching what's going on in Washington, D.C., you're wrong. Sit around at the dinner table with friends and family and hear the stories. Sit around at business functions and hear what's going on in business and how the government is pounding on their backs every single day. You see, you have only thought about your rule, your power, the money that you earn, the benefits that you get from your office. What happens in the American home, you don't care one bit. So you spend the money, and you spend it on a war that isn't even our war. You spend it on sending money to countries that hate us, that do not like us. You spend money on grants and awards that are foolishness. But we see it every single day. America is a country where we come together and we fight for what's right. And we fight against those who do wrong against Americans. For too long, we've had this wokeness destroying and weakening our nation. It has gotten so bad that people are afraid to say anything because they will get attacked by their very own government. The American people are afraid of the justice system. They're afraid of the FBI and the Department of Justice because they've come after our free speech. So understand why Americans are upset with the government right now, why we do not trust you. When we see that you put the priority of another country above the needs of every single American here in our country, in our 50 states, You have completely ignored Hawaii, but sent billions to Ukraine. The Hawaiian people are sitting there saying, what happened? Who are we? Are we not part of the United States? We're holding you responsible, each and every single one of you in government, because you have forgotten the American people. We have become last. And your fight against Putin with Ukraine has become the priority. And that is unethical. Listen, everybody go out and have a great Friday. If you have any questions, you can send it to thebusinessadvisor@gmail.com. If you would like to sit down with me on business consultancy or advisory, you can book me online at www.lodge-co.com. Thank God it's Friday. I'm over and I'm out and I am gone. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.